You're listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Autobots and Decepticons, Titans and Kaiju fans across the multiverse. Today, we are stepping into legend territory because the person that I'm about to speak to is not just a writer, not just an editor, not just a script slinger of epic proportions. No, oh no. Today, we're going to be welcoming the architect of Cybertronian mythology, the man who gave depth, destiny, and drama to robots in disguise, the defining voice of Generation 1 Transformers, the lore master himself, but from shaping the very soul of the Transformers to now, unleashing cinematic scale storytelling inside the legendary King Kong universe. This man returns with thunder in his veins and monsters in his ink. Oh yeah. But we'll be diving deep into Return to Skull Island, the official continuation of the hit Netflix Skull Island saga. And trust me, folks, if you think giant robots are intense, wait till you hear what happens when you mix legacy lore with a Titan-sized mythos. Let me tell you, it's high stakes, betrayals, character-driven drama, world building that could power Cybertron itself, if you will. So strap in, Crusaders, because today we're talking legacy, monsters, myth, and what it really takes to define a generation, and then do it again and again with the one and only, the big boss, the legend that I'm so proud to announce to have on Comic Crusaders Podcast Award, the only Simon Furman. How you doing?
Hey, Al, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on. You're a legend. You got me inspired, baby. Like, yeah, but when I was but to we lad, Transformers comics was one of my first comics, and you touching those pens of the stories I was reading, So it's like, thank you for being such a big part of my life.
Hey,
and
thank you.
Thank
you. So, and it was a pleasure, and still is, working in these with these amazing, licenses like Transformers and King Kong and Skull Island. I'm very privileged to be able to play around in those universes.
Are you trying to tell Marvel something and you want to do a man thing right now?
Oh, yeah.
Are you teasing?
These are the comics I grew up with, the Marvel kind of horror comics.
I dig those too, man, because when I was a kid, there was a store called the Grand Book Center. So you could be able to buy 3 comic books in a bag. It was a mixed bag, and you could only see the first one. That's it. It was 3 for $1. So why not?
Brilliant.
I was getting Sergeant Fury. I was getting Creep. Like horror comics, like the Chamber of Horror or Terror, whatever it was, and things like that. Really cool. All right. So Simon, let's get into because you're widely seen as a defining writer of the G1 Transformers, right? When you first started, did you realize that you kind of were building lore that would outlive probably the whole toy line series?
No, at the time, I was a very young, sort of inexperienced comics writer. Transformers was a gig that I was handed. I'd never heard of it before. It was very new. This was the tail end of '84, and and Marvel UK, the kind of UK branch of Marvel Comics, was producing their own Transformers comic, and they needed UK writers to come in and produce extra material to pad out the schedule. And I was just one of a few writers who were handed a big pile of reference, told to go away and come up with self-contained stories.
Sue, do something with this. Right?
Yeah. It was pretty much that.
Crazy.
No one back then, and I'm pretty sure that amounts to Marvel, Hasbro, Jim Shooter, Bob Ryansky. None of them realized that this would be something they and we would be talking about 40 something years later.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have fresh, Megatron figures on my shelves right now, Brian. I can't stop buying these. I love them. And
Yeah.
it's fantastic. He definitely did something there. Was there a moment though yourself that you said, "Oh shit, this is not comics anymore. This is not comics. What the heck?"
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. I didn't catch the question.
Okay, so
Oh.
at what moment did you realize this isn't just comics anymore? This is mythology that you just created, within that universe.
I think it was even beyond the Marvel era when in 2004 they asked me to write the ultimate guide to Transformers, this sort of bookshelf,
Okay.
sort of Bible for Transformers. And it was at that point when I realized, I think, that some of the stuff I'd created for Marvel had lived on and was, still out there, but in reimagined form. And with the Ultimate Guide, I started adding layers to that. So, because we just didn't know certain things, it was like, well, I'm going to have to make it up for this book. Just make it sound like there's more mythology than we've seen before. So, yeah, that was where I started dropping in ideas like the 13 primes and, other of these things that are now part of the whole brand.
Yeah, I love the 13 primes. It's my dude is Megatronus, so
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
dude. Megatron's my homie, and yeah, when I saw I have a Blokies. I want to get the figure. It's so hard to find. People, please help out Mega here. I want that figure so bad. Now you gave me emotional depth. Yeah, I know. I'm over 50 years old. I'm still playing with toys. It's okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
Now,
I'm older than you. I'm still reading comics, playing with toys, watching cartoons. So
let's get it. Yeah, baby. Heck yeah, man. It keeps us young. Listen, man, that's part of keeping us alive, man. You got to keep our young selves alive. Now,
sure.
You gave emotional depth to alien robots. Now, was that instinctual kind of storytelling, or were you intentionally pushing against, like, it's just a toy tie-in expectation?
I think it was a little of that, but mostly it was, when I was given this gift of writing comics for a living, I just wanted to tell the kind of stories I'd read growing up. I was weaned on the Marvel comics of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and then later creators like Chris Claremont and Alan Moore. And I just thought, I don't want to tell kind of kid stories, young kid stories.
Absolutely.
It just wasn't interesting to me as a writer. So, yeah, I just went full Marvel with it. I mean, it was a Marvel comic. I thought, let's give them Marvel comics, with all that, universe shaking stuff that Stan and Jack used to put into Thor or Fantastic Four.
Oh, the great stuff, man.
Yeah, that to me was, what kind of got me excited about comics in the first place. So it was never a question of writing, the cartoon was kind of pitch younger, but we just went in at a very UK comics level, something along the lines of 2000 AD, which was our kind of nearest competition at the time.
Yeah.
We wanted to tell slightly edgy, slightly sort of, skewed stories that maybe would take the readers by surprise because they're a little more edgy, exciting, out there than some of the stuff that was produced. I draw the analogy with Marvel's Star Comics line, which was pitched young, but we just pitched it at a comic buying public, and readers, young and old, really seemed to respond to that.
Absolutely. Now, Transformers is ultimately about war, right? Two conflicting sides at each other's throats. Now, what type of philosophy did you bring to portraying that long-term conflict when you were building the mythos?
Well, I mean, I think it's important, and Bob Budiansky did a lot of the heavy lifting here of making the characters relatable with flaws, and they're not necessarily completely good, they're not necessarily completely evil. And it's always more fun that way, to have a bad guy who is layered, who has motivation. And I think that was how we approached all of Transformers, was to show there was a cost to war. It wasn't just they can get up and walk away again. I mean, they were robots, but we inflicted terrible damage on them.
Yeah. Bro, Simon, let me tell you, you write betrayals that still sting today. They still, like, what makes betrayal land emotionally instead of like feeling gimmicky? How do you do that? Because I know I felt angry. I'm like, damn, Simon, what you did here, really? They did that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still, to this day, I go to conventions. One of my prints I take along is the cover to issue 70, which has Megatron and Ratchet kind of crushed together.
The meld.
Yeah.
It was mind-boggling and terrifying. But again, it's like, who would not pick up that issue? Like, what is going on here?
And the fans still come up and say, you traumatized me as a child, but I loved it. And I think that was it. We just, took it out of the realm of toy advertising or TV cartoons, and made it more, like I say, a full-bore Marvel comic.
Yeah, you murdered it. Now, what's harder though? Is it building an original universe or expanding on an iconic one like Transformers or Kong?
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge is always, what can I bring to this? What layers can I add on? So, say with Skull Island, we had a perfect, great first series of the Netflix show, which I absolutely loved. The writing was very sharp, the characterization was great, but immediately with our kind of season 2, I looked for, what else can I bring to this mix? Somebody's again done the great groundwork, but what can I add? What layers? What new characters? What new peril? And the series laid it all on a plate, really, but I always look for that extra layer. Same with Transformers, same with, I don't know, Robotech, Terminator, RoboCop, all these things I've worked on that already a thing. I always look for, what can I bring? What can I add?
Gotcha. Now, when entering, folks, we're about to get into it. Don't you worry, I got a trailer for you. You may ask this question, and I'm gonna show this trailer off. But when entering the Kong universe for Return to Skull Island, what was your first instinct? Spectacle or character?
My first instinct was character, but never forget this is a Kong series.
Yeah,
I kind of had a little note to self. It's like, if you've gone more than 3 pages and there's not a giant monster trying to eat someone, or King Kong fighting another monster, you're doing something wrong here. I just wanted the characters to shine, but more than that, I wanted the characters to leap off the page, and everyone to remember that the star of this book was King Kong.
Excellent. And a big shout out to Afro over here. He says, greetings. Wow, I love his Target 2006 and Death's Head 3.0. Who doesn't love Death's Head?
Well, and Death's Head is my one little legacy with Marvel, the character I co-created with Jeff Senior. And again, 30 plus years ago, but he's still.
Simon, I had every first appearance of that set. Not the UK version, the American version, and then every iteration they came up with after. Again, dude, shit, bro. You're the boss, folks. I'm telling you. I love that set. Like, I'm trying to get the action figure that came out last year, I believe. Have you seen it?
I have. Let me just grab it right now.
You have? Of course you do. I want the action figure so bad.
There it is.
Oh, I want it so bad. There it goes. That's so dope.
But then you've also got to get the small figure version that came out.
Oh, nice.
And the Hero Clicks version.
Oh, nice. And they're all based on the first one, right? Not Death's Head 2, right?
No, on Death's Head, the original Death's Head, but even those aren't based on the very original version.
And that Death's Head, what a complicated history they've made of him. Let me tell you, it's like I love them being big and being inside of Transformers and being like basically the Deathstroke of the Transformers universe to me. That's what he was. Like he's a Lobo rather. Like he's a bounty hunter. I love him. Oh, and my man also says, boom. I love when he met Doctor Who. Yeah.
yeah. Well, he was great. He was a character that you can almost drop in anywhere, when. You know, we set him up as this time-traveling bounty hunter. So, yeah, he's met Doctor Who. He's met the Fantastic Four, the Iron Man of 2020, and many other characters. So, you know, he has been, you know, an absolute joy to write. And he's unique in as much as you don't have to do anything with the character. You don't have to progress him. You don't have to put him through an arc. He just stays the same. He wanders in, wanders out, exactly the same. So he's a real fun character.
I love him. I love the look, man. Good job on that. Now, all right, folks. So this is my next question. Then we're going to see this trailer, all right? So Kong is mythic, right? Primal. Almost elemental, if you will, right? Because based on how they do in this world right now, how do you write something that powerful without losing emotional relatability?
I think that's where the human cast really helps. That, you know, they are our eyes on Kong, and they see Kong ultimately as the hero of the piece. They kind of come to understand that he is the little thin line between a whole host of monsters coming out of the hollow earth and overrunning the earth. And he's the guardian. And I think that was the thing. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He's standing guard at the mouth of this, you know, pit into the earth. And, you know, I think that's what it is. We work your sympathy. The characters understand, and we understand that Kong, fearsome as he may be, is kind of on our side.
You know, let me ask, were you a fan of Kong? Was this something that the UK kind of showed, or no?
Oh yeah, big time. And I was really up to speed on the legendary sort of Monarch series and the movies.
Okay.
So, but strangely, I hadn't seen that first series of Skull Island when they approached me to write the comics. So it was like, okay, I need to binge this in an afternoon.
You're like, why not? You're gonna make me watch something? Hold on.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there thinking, my job is wonderful. I get to sit afternoon and watch 8 episodes of a cartoon show.
Right. I'm working, honey. You know, I'm sorry.
That's it. That's exactly it.
I love that shit. I want that energy, folks. See what I'm saying, yo? You see how Simon's excited about this? Let me get you excited too. Check this out. This is Simon Soial right here, Volume 1 right here, Return to Skull Island. You know, based off the Netflix show. So you like the Netflix show, because I did. I don't know about y'all, but I enjoyed it. And this is definitely like, you know, a continuation. Check it out. That one is fire! Fire! Look at that. Oh, snap. I mean, February 1st was for issue one, but now in March we getting the whole volume one, baby. We getting that volume one dropping, that collected edition. Now talk to me about, I need to know about what I love to call the promance. How did you find your artistic partner in the book, or how did you guys connect? Because based on this trailer, that art is like phenomenal. What's popping?
Yeah, I mean, I'd never met Christopher before, but I'd seen the samples and the character studies he'd done for the series, and he's so kind of was sort of chameleon like, went into the art style of the show. It made it so seamless as a sequel that you were very much coming into the same characters who look the same way, and I was just blown away the first time I saw the double page spread of Kong fighting the Kraken and I just thought, wow, this man can draw monsters, he can draw characters, he can do the range. So yeah, I was very excited to be working with Christopher on this.
I love it. And folks, you see that QR code right there? That'll take you straight over to the Titan Comics website. You go check out, when it's dropping, and go tell your local comic shop, because this book is dropping next month in March. So don't be playing, go over there. But again, if the single issue is available, though, why not? Go grab the single issues, if they have that. If we're talking about Simon Furman books over here, they're not going to be easy to find on the shelves, man. Come on, Simon, you know the truth, bro. Come on. Right?
And of course, coming out now, we have Escape from Skull Island, which is the sequel.
Oh, really?
So the story continues. The first issue of Escape from Skull Island is out, so you'll be able to pick up the trade and the first issue of Escape.
Simon, talk to me. Wait. First off, I want to sell this book for us. So, pick this up in March, folks. Right, you heard? March, volume 1, and then put Escape on your checklist now. That way you can continue reading this. All right, talk to me. So give us a little bit of the lowdown on Return.
Sure. Return, it does pick up from the end of the one season Netflix show, but we made it as introductory as possible. So if you just pick up Return, you'll know where you are, because the lead character, Charlie, who's stranded on Skull Island, he kind of brings the audience up to speed. He's our little omniscient narrator. So you'll get caught up to speed pretty quickly. You'll understand where we are and the stakes. And then as we kick into Return, a new Titan arises to fight Kong for the sort of ownership of Skull Island. And Kong is not in the best of shapes when we join Return. He's already fought the Kraken in the Netflix show. He's a little bit banged up from that. But he's facing this new menace, so he's got to get back in the game really fast.
Yeah. It's starting to feel like Kong is going through what Batman did with Bane. Is he about to get his back broken? Oh my God! Don't tell me that, man. Don't tell me that.
And so when we join it, we're kind of with the human cast trying to get Kong back in the fight, get him. They're in his corner, sort of getting him back into the fight.
They're throwing him cold water in his face. Wake the hell up!
That's it. Yeah,
I love it. I love this energy. Let me ask you something. This is kind of a joke question, but I would love to know your response. If Optimus Prime and Kong sat down for tea, what would they agree on?
That's a good question. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. I think they would both meet on that. Apes, robots, humans, everyone's got that right.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, it's the truth, man. Now, what does high stakes mean to you, though, as a writer in 2026, especially when, audience, especially those of our age and a tad younger, not so much younger, and older, have kind of experienced everything. Like how do you keep it fresh?
I think you've got to keep it relevant. You've got to engage your audience, because you might be dealing with King Kong or Megatronus Prime, but you've got to somehow make it something they understand, and they understand the stakes. And I think you engage. Audiences are a lot more sophisticated now with comics, so what we were talking about before, you really have got to be sort of aiming high with your sort of storytelling, with your characterization, and you've just got to pull people in. And comics is the art of making people want to pick up the next issue. So that's something that's kind of hardwired into me, that you always leave them with a stinger, a cliffhanger.
I know. As a kid, I would be angry because I wasn't able to get every issue after the fact, because it just wasn't like that for me, unfortunately. And like, now that I'm older, it's like, all right, just going back, I'm like, oh, thanks, I could do it now. But back then, I used to be so angry. Those cliffhangers used to fuck me up. I'm like, oh man, I'm missing an issue. What happens? Damn it!
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is. I miss sometimes, because a lot of comics these days are written for the trade, but we were taught right from the start that every issue might be somebody's first issue. So you've got to hook them, you've got to bring them up to speed, you've got to drag them on to the next issue.
But also, you could drag them into the next, but that one issue could also kind of feel like its own centralized story sometimes, and just you could leave that underlying layer that says, hey, there's a lot more to this if you're interested. Because I used to, again, I grew up reading those early 80s, late 70s comics as my initial start. So it's like those were so many one and done issues within a run. Yeah. And I thought that was cool. Oh, you can still check out the next issue because there was always an underlying theme.
Yeah. And I learned a lot from Chris Claremont's X-Men, where he would build subplots all the time. So you'd have your A story running, and there'd be a B plot and a C plot bubbling around in the background.
Yeah. And that's the future of the stories.
But that was what kept me reading. I was like, I've got to know who that guy skulking around, casting a shadow on the wall is. So I think I've always taken those lessons and tried to pull them into my own stuff.
So in your career, what's been your biggest creative risk, and did it pay off?
I think possibly the biggest creative risk is always doing your self-publishing. So right now, I did a series recently with Jeff Senior called To the Death, and then I did a kind of crime noir graphic novel with an artist called Martin Stiff called 5 Points. And of course, you're taking all the risk, you're taking all the burden of getting them out to the general public, advertising, the publicity. So that's time consuming, but incredibly satisfying as well.
Wonderful. Now, writers often talk about finding the voice of a property. How do you find the voice of a universe?
Strangely with Transformers, as much as we never followed the cartoon show, the voices I had in my head were always the cartoon voices. So I would hear Starscream, I would hear Jazz, I would hear Optimus, and that was kind of, so that made it easy. Again, with Skull Island, a lot of the characters I'd heard them speak, but sometimes you have to just go into, I understand who this character is. This is the way they talk. This is the way they act. And so with a character like Death's Head, for example, he's the master of non-reaction. Terrible stuff can happen and he just doesn't react to it. And, he might have a couple of words to say about something terrible. So, you just find different voices for all these amazing characters you get to play around with.
I feel like that could be a New Yorker.
Yeah, yeah, it
Like
could be.
whatever
Yeah.
happens, like okay, whatever. He just keeps walking. All right. Now, Return to Skull Island continues an established Netflix narrative, right? So how much freedom did you have in expanding the mythology, within this series?
Well, freedom in as much as I suggested things, and as long as Titan were happy with them, Legendary were happy with them, and they sort of built that monsterverse that is so important to so many people, then they were really supportive. And
Wonderful.
when we came up with this new Titan called Yugoth, who's this kind of
You
weird
go.
rocky planty elemental creature, they were so sort of enthused about it, you couldn't help but be sort of pumped yourself that you were creating some small part of this whole monsterverse that is so popular.
We love the MonsterVerse. I mean, because Monarch is definitely the way they've been doing it, has been fire. I'm enjoying it. Now, what part of Skull Island Volume One are you most Proud of, without spoilers, of course. And
I think
folks, when you get it, this is what the cover look like. Look at that monstrous cover right there. Yeah.
I think I'm proudest of hopefully making Kong almost the central character in it. Sure, there's the human cast, and we are hearing their voices, their thoughts, but the challenge is to make Kong as much of a character in the comic as the human characters. And I hope I've kind of achieved that without sidelining the human characters or sidelining Kong. I think there's a kind of share of screen time, and you get kind of attached to all of them. At least I hope so.
You hope so. Come on, man. This is the Furman verse. We're gonna get it done, baby. You're gonna be fired. Oh man. Now, you define robots. Now you're writing Titans. Now, what's the key difference between mechanical and primal storytelling?
Almost nothing. I when I first started writing Transformers, I never thought of them as robots. Really, I just
Oh, yeah.
the characters and personalities were so human. There seemed no reason to write them as robotic. So they are just, they may be metal, but I treat them as humans. I treat Kong as a sort of humanoid character with feelings and and intelligence. And I think that's it. You can't if I just wrote Kong as an ape, it wouldn't be very exciting. But you'll see all the way through Return to Skull Island and Escape from Skull Island how much interface there is between Kong and the human cast. And the same with Transformers. We use the humans to kind of give it that perspective that we're always looking at the robots through human eyes. And yet, other than that, I never treated them as robots at all, except we could sort of blow holes in them with impunity, and we couldn't really with our human characters.
Oh yeah, man! Don't remind me of that old school movie that scarred many children.
Yeah.
Now, but what still excites you about storytelling after decades in the industry?
Well, I mean, I love comics. I still read comics. I tend to read in trades these days. That's the only thing that's changed. But it's one of the things I'm a big fan of is kind of crime noir fiction. And so anytime I can find that in comic form, like I don't know, Powers or sort of Gotham Central, those.
Yeah.
I like crime. I like crime in comics, and that was why when I got a chance, I kind of worked with an artist on 5 Points, our own crime noir series. So yeah, I guess I still read comics, I devour them, but I'm on a big Daredevil jag at the moment, where I'm because that's always so kind of crime, gritty noir based.
Of course, it's the streets of New York, baby. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Grimy.
So yeah, and I'm a big fan of the Netflix Daredevil show that is now the Disney Plus Daredevil Born Again show.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, I love all the stuff that's out there, really.
I agree. I love it, man. From after all these years, is still a fan of this, folks. You see this? That's an awesome creator right here. It's just still digging in. Now,
Yeah.
if you could revisit one story, any story you've ever made, with today's kind of creative freedom, what would it be?
People often ask me, are there things where I look back at stories I've written, I think I'd do that differently? It's weird. I probably wouldn't. I there's nothing where I think, I made a terrible mistake and I wish I'd done the whole thing differently. But I'm always looking forward. I'm always looking for the next project, the next Skull Island, or the next Astrobots, or whatever comes my way next. So I very rarely look back and go, oh, I wish I'd done that, because there's so much more coming down in the pipeline. And Transformers, always more. I'm always involved. So yeah, really exciting.
Excellent. I can't wait. Now, what advice would you give writers stepping into legacy type of franchises like you have?
You have to be respectful of those legacy titles. You have to understand what your audience, the pre-existing audience, sometimes wants from it. And I was very conscious of that with Return to Skull Island, that I was stepping into a world I didn't know much about in terms of the fandom. I know Transformers fandom well, but I didn't really know the Monsterverse legendary fandom. And so I was just very respectful to keep it, to do my research, watch Monarch again, watch all the Kong Godzilla movies again, and just get into that mindset that and what the fans want from that. So I did a lot of trawling of kind of gaiju sites, looking for what people wanted out of the shows and the comics they were reading.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Now, creatively speaking, how did Return to Skull Island challenge you in ways maybe Transformers never did?
I mean, Transformers is always a challenge, but I know where I am with it. I know the whole scope of it. So I can just go, yes, I'll use that. I'll use that. That's good for this story. With Skull Island, it was much more, I had to do the hard graft and understand what I could use, what was out there already, the monsters that already existed in the Monsterverse that I could have crawling around on Skull Island. So it was a little more challenging, but rewarding, because I learned a lot in the process.
I dig it. Now, Simon, that's the question before we go. Are you doing any appearances this year? Because the con season is starting. Are you going anywhere? We will get a signature, a handshake.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm based in the UK, so a lot of my conventions tend to be this side of the Atlantic. But I'm always hopeful I will be at one or other of the big US Comic Cons, either this year or next.
Are you doing MCM or Thought Bubble at all this year?
I'm doing not doing Thought Bubble. I will be at London Film and Comic Con in July.
Oh, cool.
So that's another big London convention. So yeah, I will definitely be at London Film and Comic Con. For Transformers fans, I will be at TF Nation this year, which is the big UK Transformers convention. Nice. And other than that, I will be sort of updating my social media all the time with kind of new appearances as they slot in.
I dig it, Simon. And any last words again, for young creators, not just in franchises, but just overall, like, you've been here a minute, you've seen so many changes in the industry and how it kind of works now, right? From back in the day, you used to have to mail stuff. Now you send an email, right? And,
yeah.
Things change. Like, any advice for these cats, like how to work it now?
Only that the industry changes, but storytelling really doesn't. it still it has to hit the same beats. It still has to engage. It still has to pull the reader along. You have to have relatability in there. So, I think storytelling, the modes and everything might have changed the way people receive their comics, but storytelling itself, you still have to go back to the fundamentals and remember why people buy comics every month, why they watch movies, why they follow TV shows.
Agreed, 100. Folks, this is what it is. Listen, we're showing you that Titans link, but guess what? It's also right there. So you go there. You can check out, find out when Return to Skull Island is going to drop Volume 1, and then go scoop Escape right now from Skull Island. Right now, because it's out issue 1. You know what I mean? So it's like this is a whole franchise. Like, how many volumes we getting on this?
At the moment, there's just 2, but we hope that if it's well enough received, there may be some more down the line.
If ain't no if, Simon. It's the Furman verse here kicking ass. It's gonna be crazy right now. Come on, folks. You know what it is? Come on, folks. You know what it is? Because Simon Furman does not just write stories. He builds worlds that last. Right, brother? You know what I mean? So if you love epic character arcs, if you crave mythology that hits you like a kaiju stomp, guess what? This is for you. If you respect legacy storytelling done right, then this is what I need you to do. Go grab Return to Skull Island Volume 1, then go to the shop, start grabbing Escape, all right? And support creators who shape culture like my man Simon right here. Don't forget, all right? So make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, and share this episode of Comic Crusaders, because we don't just talk that pop culture, baby. We celebrate the architects behind it. Like my man Furman. Again, thank you, man. Big fan since I was but a wee laddie, and I appreciate your time and your knowledge and your energy and sharing that with us today. And because this is how legends are supposed to be honored, folks. This is how universe expand, and this is how Work by Energy meets Titan storytelling. So thank you again, my brother. You rock.
And thank you, Al. It's been great. Really enjoyed it.
Nah, man. Everybody's been commenting right there, yo. What was that? Afro, I see it, yo, Red, everybody that was tuning in, some of you were just creeping but and loving, but thank you, I appreciate you. You know what it is, just tune in. Every time during the week we got 2 or 3 live podcasts with amazing creators such as Simon. All right, so let's make it happen, Crusaders. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Huepa!
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.shop and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.